question in this video is, how does the center of mass affect stability? To understand this, first we have to know what the center of mass is. And by definition, the center of mass is the place where all of the mass of an object can be said to be located. It is really a spot where there's an equal amount of mass on both the left as the right, and there's an equal amount of mass above as there is below. Now, if we have a symmetrical object, like let's say a meter stick, the center of mass of the meter stick would be in the geometric center, because at this point there's an equal amount of mass on the left as there is on the right, and there's an equal amount of mass above as there is below. Now, if I were to add something like a clamp or something of weight on one side, that will shift my center of mass closer to the heavier end. So now my center of mass would be more so at this spot. And in this sense, then we'd have an equal amount of mass on the right as we have on the left. So if it's not a regularly shaped object, if it's an irregular shape, let's say, for example, we have something that is more of a triangle, then the center of mass is not going to be in the exact center. It's going to be shifted towards this spot, because at this spot then there'll be an equal amount of mass on the right as there is on the left. Because it's wider on the right, we're going to be closer to that spot. And there's an equal amount of mass above as there is below at this location. Now the question is, how does the center of mass affect stability? Well, an object is considered stable in physics when the mass is directly above or below a base. Only then will it not tip over. So if we get something like, let's say, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the base is the part that's in contact with the surface. Okay, so this is considered the base. And a lot of times we call these edges, we call them the leading edge. Now, the center of mass of the Leaning Tower of Pisa is going to be somewhere about right here. And we can see that that center of mass is directly above the base. The base would be that bottom portion. As long as the center of mass is above the base, the object will not tip over. But if the center of mass leans too far, here's my base, and if the center of mass gets too far over so that it's now beyond or past that base, then this object will fall over. It's considered unstable. Now, sometimes you'll see the word center of gravity used interchangeably with center of mass. And there is a slight difference between the two. The center of mass is independent of the distance from the center of the Earth. Since the bottom portion of an object is closer to the center of the Earth, the center of gravity will be slightly lower than its center of mass. So let's say we go to a place like New York where there's very large skyscrapers. When we talk about our center of mass, the center of mass, let's say it's a uniform object so that there's as much steel at the top as there is at the bottom. And so then the center of gravity is going to be in the geometric center. I'm sorry, the center of mass will be in the geometric center. So I'll label that as COM, center of mass. However, gravity pulls on things more if they are closer to the center of the Earth. So gravity is pulling more on the bottom portion of this building than it is on the top portion. So therefore, the gravitational force of the bottom is slightly larger than the gravitational force of the top. Just like before, this is going to skew the center of gravity a little bit lower, so that the center of gravity is going to be slightly lower than the center of mass. Now, in all actuality, this distance is so small, it's not very noticeable at all. So typically, the center of mass and the center of gravity are just about the same spot, too close to even make much of a distinction. But there is a slight variance between the two. You're going to watch a few videos kind of showcasing the center of mass and the center of gravity, and just kind of to illustrate that it might be at different spots, and whether it's high or low, it'll give it more or less stability.